even though I didn't do a time change like to the Bahamas, I think being on those longer flights, my body's like, what the? It's out of practice.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that.
Oh my goodness, I'm trying to pound some water today. Miss Q, hello.
Miss Q, how are you? You were on my list to email.
Pam,
Pam, so are you.
Brian. So
Hey,
this is what
Brian.
I found was
Hey,
interesting.
Josh.
They have these waters in your hotel room at the Renaissance.
Okay.
They're complimentary, but like they're by this like Castelli brand. It's some like bougie frosted
Oh,
glass. Like
I like it. I like it. I like it.
Ken Jarvis joining Good Morning.
Hello. I
Ken
do wish Haps
Jarvis.
did more of a who's in here because unless they type it in, like you don't know who's in here.
Yeah,
So
that's one thing I miss about Periscope with the bubbles. You could kind of at least.
you kind of see who's in there. I still miss some of the features of Periscope. I do.
I'm right there with you. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, but Haps is cool that, we can simulcast. It looks like someone's watching on YouTube. And so
Yeah.
that that's cool that people can watch on different platforms. So,
It is not vodka. That's my
oh,
joke.
like
I said I was just like it's vodka. It looks like it though. I'm definitely guzzling some water to try to nurse a little bit of jet lag here.
I'm doing nothing but water and coffee just to kind of dry out from the adventure. Good God,
I know that was kind of like a reality shock. I haven't drank like that and
Mexico since Mexico, like not that long ago.
I don't know. Your Mexico and my Mexico were completely different things.
Oh Lord,
Yes, but
Lord.
it was
Hey, but it
it
was
was
fun.
it was pouring today, most of today. There's actually a decent amount of rain in the forecast, but we're still gonna make do. Like tomorrow we're going to the Louvre. Super excited. I have a video that's gonna be going out on YouTube because little girl over here didn't know we were
I
coming.
love my black heart turned a dark, dark, dark shade of gray when I saw that video. I was like, that's kind of cute.
It is. We all know how Jason feels about stuff like that.
Oof.
You
I
know,
just
she
love
was
children. I love
she
children.
was so good on the plane though. Like, it was one of those moments, you feel like maybe you're not doing the greatest at parenting, but the flight attendant, when she put her headphones back on to watch the movie, she's like, she is the sweetest, most polite child I've ever seen on a plane. She's like, her
Good.
praises, her thank yous. And I was like, I'll take it. I don't need a kid to be a doctor, just as long as she's a functioning member and polite in society. Like, that
Right.
works for me.
Right.
Goodness. Pam said no pre-gaming for our cruise next week.
TBD.
TBD. Well, Jason, it's the top of the hour. I'm going to let you take it
Uh,
away.
awesome. Good morning, everybody. It is 10 a.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Paris time.
It
And Paris time. I'm coming from you live in Nashville, Tennessee. I am Jason Poole. I'm a travel advisor with Cruise Planners and American Express travel representative. But my location is far less exciting than where my co-host is coming from, broadcasting live from. Where are you?
Bonjour, Jason. Je m'appelle Haley. Je suis en Paris. Let's see here. Oh, Michael, welcome. So yes, I got into Paris this morning at about 8:30 a.m. Paris time, which would have been 1:30 a.m. your time, probably when you were just going to bed.
Oh, I was in bed long before that last night.
Yes, so my name is Haley. I own a hotel sales support company called Hospitality with a Flair. Been in hotels for 14 years, and I'm a travel blogger. I know, Janelle, I should have picked you up.
Oh, same.
Uh,
I actually threatened to not do the broadcast this week,
yeah,
guys,
he
because I
threatened to
was
kick
like,
me off the show, actually. He threatened to kick me off.
I'm just jealous. I'm jealous, but we'll get to that. So, um, why don't you go over what our agenda is today, Miss Haley?
Absolutely. So agenda is going to be same as normal. This is going to be a little quicker because I think you and I have a lot to review from being on Adventure of the Seas last week, the first sailing that went out of North America, kind of my game plan for this week, but we're going to go over hot travel topics. The list of countries has not changed this week, but we still will flag that up here. We will have a travel tip of the day, a travel question of the day between Jason and I, and then one that is submitted from one of our
Hmm.
members at todayintravel.live. If you would like to join our travel group, make sure you head to todayintravel.live. It's on Facebook. You can ask questions. You can post some of your favorite things. Lord knows I will be posting some of my favorite things this week. And yeah, it's a great community. I hope you guys can all join. So let's kick off with our first little piece of news.
Awesome. So, every week we keep bringing you some good information about this country's opening, that country's opening. Norway is the latest country to start to open up its border. Starting in early July, they're going to allow traveling into the country, starting with just like close family relatives, and they're going to start adopting the color coding system for the rest, like the rest of the EU is doing. So just good news there. If anybody has family in Norway and hasn't seen them in a year and a half, you can they're slowly opening up their borders.
I don't think we're going to see cruising there this year.
I don't
Uh,
either.
I doubt it, but so I wanted to jump in on this EU color coded system because, hot off the presses here as of what, 8 hours ago.
Right.
Um, so the US, according to everything I read online, is an orange amber country. So what that meant for France was I had to have a COVID test within 72 hours. I had to be vaccinated and show that proof. So when I was at JFK, they took my vaccine card, they verified my testing, I had to have that, all that ready. Then I get to Charles de Gaulle and I see this long customs line and I'm just like, oh my God. And then I get to the end of it to get in line and there's a red line, there's an orange line, and there's a green line.
What?
So I get up there and I look at it, and in the green line sign, it has all the country flags, and the US is on the green list. And I looked at the guy because let's be honest, the orange list was shorter. The orange line was a lot shorter. And I was like, oh, we're
Okay.
orange list. He goes, oh no, you guys are green now. And they just shoved us into the green line. They didn't ask. I mean, it didn't end up being as long as I thought it would, but they didn't even ask for the vaccine cards, the test. They just like looked at our passport, stamped it, and said,
That's insane.
I
Well,
really
I'm
appreciate this.
glad you got into the country. That's all that matters. Um, wow. Okay. Good firsthand reporting.
Yes, firsthand reporting. Hi, Sandra. Yes, Norway quarantine will happen depending on your color code. That all dictates on the color code.
This next one I'm excited about. Haley is our resident Disney queen, so I'll let her review this, but I am excited about this.
You are a Marvel fan.
I am a Marvel fan.
So if all goes to plan, I'm hoping to get some photographs potentially this trip.
Okay.
So this hotel, Disneyland Paris just opened a Marvel themed hotel. And I'm not gonna lie, Jeff and I looked at it. I was like, oh man, maybe we should go stay for a night. It was like $600+ a night. And I'm like, Okay, that was short-lived. But I mean, it is cool. It is called like the New York Marvel Hotel. And I will say something that's neat about Disneyland Paris is the hotels are so close to the parks, and there's actually one that's at the entrance to one of the parks. Like you could roll out of bed, go down the lobby, and you're at the entrance of a park. But this Marvel one looks cool. I think it's kind of great that Disney is incorporating more Marvel because not everybody is a classic Minnie and Mickey or Disney princess fan. I think this is a nice expansion into characters for them. Let's see here. Okay, so that's that one. And then speaking of Disney, we're going to talk about our last piece of news, which I'm excited about, Jason. I know you've heard me talk about this, but Disney World is set to restart their fireworks July 1st. I typically will pop into Disney a couple times a year, and I haven't done so even though they've been open over COVID because Disney World without fireworks is not Disney World for me. Like, they kind of spoil you from seeing fireworks anywhere else in the world. Because I mean, it's a production, but I couldn't justify paying Disney prices with no fireworks. So I know that you're not a Disney fan, Jason, but
No, I'm not. I'm look. I like Disney movies. I like the Marvel movies. I'm just not the biggest Disney theme park fan. I know a lot of people are. So before I get chased by the Disney
off the
fans,
scene.
we will move on.
We are. But honestly, not a whole lot of news and travel news. I mean, we all know
No,
about the test sailings, but it was kind of quiet today. All right, countries that are open to the US. So remember, these have been the same part of me since 2 weeks ago. You've seen France entered the chat here under the 48 to 72 hour. I actually have to bump them over now to 72 depending on your color coding. Spain is now open, but no additional changes, and I will not add Norway until they iron things out because that is
that's
just
fair.
that's a big thing in this EU block. Like, even with France, the wording was very confusing. Like, I talked with you, like with Olivia, because obviously she's not old enough for a vaccine. But it was saying if you were 11, you had to have a test, but it said nothing about anything from 2 to 10. I ended up getting her tested anyways. They
I would have too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they said at the airport that I didn't have to, but I would say after going through the whole process, I'm still happy with my decision that I did that. Tom, I will add that right in for the end. Hey, Lolita Loca, this is a cruise reunion because we're going to be talking about Adventure of the Seas right now. Great time.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Haley and I were both on the first Royal Caribbean cruise out of North America. We did a 7 night sailing on Royal Caribbean's Adventure of the Seas out of Nassau. And I have lots of thoughts, good and bad, on the sailing. Um,
Absolutely. We were on there with pretty much every travel agent and blogger known to man.
we were. So right off the bat, I will say I think for the most part the cruise was oddly normal. It felt like a fairly normal sailing. There were only a few things about it that seemed abnormal. I mean, first of all, there were only a third of the passengers on board. There were like 1,000 people, guests on board. So it was easy to find pool chairs. It was easy to get service at the bars. So in that respect, it was very nice only having 1,000 people on board. Um, I didn't love some of the security theater that was going on. So we could all be jammed together in the pub, literally on top of each other, but we couldn't sit at the bar stools at the champagne bar. We could be all over each other in the swimming pools, but we couldn't sit at the bar stools at the pool bar.
Yeah, and I was thinking
So,
of which nightclub venue you were in. You could be all dancing together, but then in Studio B, we had to all be in our bubbles.
yeah, so I do think, look, I totally understand the cruise lines are doing whatever they can to mitigate risk. So either be consistent in all the venues or just let us do let us do what we want. Now, I fully expect the cruises out of Florida are going to be a bit more strict
Right.
because of the Florida law, which we've discussed numerous times. They can't require vaccinations, so I could see the Florida sailings being quite different and then being far more strict on um, social distancing, mask wearing, et cetera, et cetera. Um, do you agree with all of what I've said so far? Do you disagree? Do you have
Yeah.
other sentiments?
So I put together a YouTube video that posted yesterday on what I felt were the 10 biggest changes. And I think another big miss that I think is the umbrella to all these situations is Royal's lack of communication.
Yeah,
There is a big lack of transparency. For example, I did ultimate dining.
right.
If I had that emphasis ahead of time, be like, we're really going to be reservation focus, please try to pre-plan as many of your dining reservations as you can. I probably would have done that because cruising, you don't always know what you're in the mood for or what you want to do. But I
Correct.
mean, according to that app, which I think they've made some great
I
strides
agree.
up here. Like I was really impressed with where that's going between eMuster, being able to make reservations in the app,
Hmm.
menus, really great things there. But I mean, for example, I had this ultimate dining package and I couldn't find a Chops reservation for dinner the entire week. Now, could I have like pushed it, went to the Diamond Concierge and been, but I mean, for what that package costs, that's a
No, I agree. And then there were rules about you couldn't sit with people if your reservations weren't linked together. Because I mean, part of the thing that I love about cruising is you meet people on board, you become friends with those people, and you're like, hey, let's go grab dinner together. And at the beginning of the cruise, they were only letting you eat with linked reservation, which is again theater, because we could have gone to Cafe Promenade, sat with each other, and had a meal together.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I told you about this wild thing that happened with Mark Pizzo and I.
I know. You get to
So
sit it so he could have a drink at your table, but couldn't eat at
yeah,
your table.
it was
So
it was at Azumi. He could have a Coca-Cola, but he could not
eat.
eat at my table. It was really confusing.
So I'm not upset with the workers because they were working their butts off.
Oh,
They're
they were. It was
they were just doing what they were told. So I really fault the upper management from Royal Caribbean, including even at the Miami office, for not having consistency. And what's even more mind blowing is they've even changed the requirements now for other sailings and requiring tests, which is I'm fine with it, but there's just not really a lot of consistency. And when you look at their sister brand, Celebrity, the onboard experience is very different. There is no rules about not linking people's reservation. The buffet on Celebrity is open for dinner, where it was not in Royal Caribbean. I saw a picture of the Martini Bar from the Millennium last week, and they had tons of bar staff. The Champagne Bar had at most two people. Now, wasn't that big of a deal because we reduced capacity, but they they just need to try harder, I think.
yeah, and especially when you have that lack of consistency, kind of like, Ken's mentioning there, it's Miami that's not on board.
Right?
That sets your entry level staff up to fail. I think overall, everybody, and I know myself included, was so excited to see crew members. Like it was almost like it was very emotional at times. I mean, because overall they were just so excited to have people back on board. so ready to delight and please and whatnot. And overall, other than a couple situations, I think everybody was very understanding to those bumps. I mean, you and I have said if you're going to travel right now, there's going to be
Yeah,
bumps and hiccups. Getting here to Paris, normally where I had my prearranged transportation, it's all in a different area, it's
right.
miscombobulated. There's going to be hiccups.
Right, but don't get me wrong, I mean, but I would give my sailing on the adventure a solid B plus. I I I
Oh,
I
absolutely.
I enjoyed it. It was great hanging out with so many friends and clients and making new friends. The staff was super friendly, had a lot of fun. The quality of food I thought wasn't great. I think part of that is a lot of the chefs on Royal Caribbean come from India and they're not hiring any Indian crew members right now because of the pandemic, the COVID levels in India. So I think that's a factor. And it was the first one back. So we were all very understanding. But, I still just thought the food
Well, I
was,
mean, I don't think the food was bad. I mean, it's what I expect from a Royal Caribbean ship overall.
that's fair. That's
Like
fair.
my dining expectations when I cruise Celebrity are a little higher.
Sure. Sure.
Um, you know, I know that you had a different specialty dining experience, but like I had a great experience in Giovanni's this time. This is probably one of the better Giovanni's meals I've had, and I did it twice. Um, I think sit down dining was still kind of long because they are short staffed. That was another thing, but it was right where my expectations should be for a mass market
Right.
wine.
Yeah. Yeah. I did Giovanni's twice as well. One time I was there 2 hours, 15 minutes. One time I was there 2 hours and 30 minutes. And I just don't think you should be at dinner for over 2 hours. I just don't.
Oh, I
And
completely agree. And another thing Hunt said too, there was, like you and I mentioned, there were so many vloggers. And what I appreciate is that between the different travel agents and bloggers that were on this cruise, everybody does so many different things. So there's
right.
really, you can get a really well-rounded experience. And I enjoyed meeting everybody. We met so
I did too.
many people. Like JJ Cruz is in here. Hey guys, Keys Cruisers,
Yes,
Olivia Loca. We met some wonderful people,
we did.
but highly, it was good. It felt almost normal.
It really did. It felt almost normal. I would do it again if I didn't already have sailings in July and August. I would definitely think about doing another adventure sailing.
And
I
if
would.
they had a different itinerary, I could get on board with it really easily.
Right.
Not
And
that I hated the itinerary, I just don't want to keep paying money for the same thing.
no, I agree. And then we should note we neither of us got off at Freeport, Grand Bahamas. And some people did and they hated it. So the unofficial travel tip of the day: stay on board in Freeport, don't get off.
Jason, I don't want to say that we told them so, but you and
Well, I
I
mean,
discussed this prior and got our couples massage.
it was, and then you could literally look out, and I mean, we were at, it was an industrial. I mean, look, you're there for provisions, so they should make it just a technical stop where you're not allowed to get off. That should be it. So the travel tip of the day is from personal experience. Don't book flights through the cruise lines. It is a
This is all
well,
you. I can't even tag into this because I don't do it anyways, but
let me rephrase. Don't book Royal Caribbean group flights. Okay. If you book flights through like Viking, I've done it a million times with clients. They do a phenomenal job. Okay. But the Air to Sea with Royal Caribbean and flights by Celebrity has been a disaster. Um, an example: I was in Mexico, got a refund from American Express from Celebrity. I was like, I wonder what that's for. Celebrity just removed my flights from my booking. And these two cruises in June I just did, in July for the summit, are the first time I've ever used cruise line flights. And I will never do it again. I had
so
clients wanted to do an upgrade for the adventure to a suite, but there were flights in the booking. It took over 2 hours to do it. If their flights weren't in the booking, I could go click, click, and do it. So I am just not a fan of booking air to sea or flights by celebrity. I will never do it again. I don't care how good the deals are. I will never do it.
All magic comes with a price.
I I I mean, I am just I don't like it. I just yeah. So I live and learn. I'd never done it before, and a ton of people did it, and it's just been a disaster. Now, part of the problem is not, or part of the issue is not totally Royal and Celebrity's problem. American Airlines has been canceling hundreds of flights due to crew shortages. So some people's flights that have been canceled are not Royal or Celebrity's fault. And I totally realize that. But when you call them to deal with the issue and you're speaking from someone in another country that doesn't speak English very well, it's really annoying. And I just
Yeah.
I'll never do it again. I mean, yes, sometimes they are cheaper. Absolutely, they are less expensive at times, but you get what you pay for.
I don't know. Jarvis is in here, so Sky Miles life.
Yeah. So that's my tip of the day. Like with all tips, you can take it or leave it. I will never do it again.
Absolutely. And we are fair, balanced, and unafraid here.
Fair, balanced, and unafraid. Um, all right. So this I thought was a good question.
Yes, 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 yes. I'm very excited because I think you and I can kind of multi-prong tackle this. And guys,
Yeah.
remember, this will be available for replay. So if you have to leave early, if you're coming in late, you can watch it from the beginning. Unlike somebody else on this broadcast, I don't delete any of my broadcasts when I go live.
Those are only the late night ones. Only the late night one. Okay, so Mark in our Facebook group, todayintravel.live, asked, how do you personally handle travel related issues when things are less than stellar? I thought that was a great question, because there's a fine line between giving constructive feedback, constructive criticism, and just being an annoying complainer, right? Like we walked by the Windjammer and there was somebody complaining about how Portofino's used to be $5 or $10 for the Windjammer staff. That's absurd. What good is a Windjammer staff member going to care that Portofino's was there 15 years ago and was $10? No one cares about that. But when there are issues, for example, I did email my Royal Caribbean contact and said, hey, dinners on board are abysmal. You're making us sit through 2 hour dinners in the main dining room or 2.5 hour dinners at a specialty restaurant or cafe promenade. Like some of us just want to go to the Windjammer, or some of us want to do main dining room in 60 minutes.
Or even
So
room service.
a room service, right? So that was how I communicated my complaint, and things did kind of get better. They offered me to come back to the dining room and give us great service, and it was, but not everybody has that avenue to get the manager of the floor as our server. So what do you think from a service professional, what do you think someone should do when they're on board a cruise or they're at a hotel or they're at an all-inclusive resort and they think the service is subpar?
This is how I started growing a TikTok following, or these kind of stories.
Okay.
Um, I mean, the first thing, you have to say something.
Okay.
Like, there's a reason you go to a hotel or somewhere and there's that sign in the elevator that says, if you can't give us a 10 out of 10, tell us so we can, get to that 10 for you.
Right.
You don't know what can happen or what can change unless you say something. Like going through hotel reviews and things of that nature, when I see reviews that, because I can see emails and stuff that were unsubstantiated, nothing mentioned during the stay, because at the end of the day, we're all human. There's human error. There's new procedures, there's new protocol, there's going to be hiccups. And dealing with a human-based service industry, it's bound to happen. So if you don't say anything,
Right.
I
Yeah.
kind of have the attitude you don't have that right to be that upset if you're not going to say anything.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair.
For you to not say anything, to just write this big, huge TripAdvisor review.
Right. I agree. So you're saying give them the chance to make it right.
Yeah, absolutely. And like in the
Yeah.
hotel world, another thing that people don't realize, if we're going to talk hotels for a hot second, is, if somebody say they bring it up to a hotel and their concern is still not being addressed. The next thing they'll do, depending on the severity of it, is try to blow up the 1-800 number from Hilton or Marriott. And you are just a very small number in a large queue. What people don't realize in hotels is 95% of the hotels that have those brands are individually franchised. You have to go look for the management company that
Right.
owns, because I have gone that routes with somebody. I've tried dealing with a front desk agent, a front desk supervisor, an AGM, a GM, not getting anywhere. I will go look for the management company next. That's kind of my chain of command. Just like if I were to have an issue with his main dining room, I'd mention it to the wait staff first. And if I didn't get any good feedback from the wait staff, I then go to the maitre d' and so forth. I mean,
Yeah.
you kind of do your chain of command. I think that's my biggest point on that. There's some stuff that if it doesn't get fixed and it's minor, I'll just be like, I won't do it again. Like you,
No,
air to sea. I just won't do it again.
Right. No, so I agree with the chain of command, right? So I know people who will just take a complaint and like, I'm just going to Facebook message Michael Bailey, CEO of Royal Caribbean. It's like, that's not really the proper chain of command, right? So if you're having a problem pre-cruise, contact your travel advisor. See if they can fix it first, right? More than 9 times out of 10, it's something that I, as a travel advisor, can fix, right?
And that's the beauty of working with a travel advisor. The last thing you want to do when you get to Hawaii, get on a cruise, is spend your time in line.
Right.
With something. That is the perk to a travel agent. Like, Jason, you'd be on the phone with people, especially if you're traveling.
Right. So I think don't be a keyboard warrior. Just go through the chain of command. I think that's the short, simple answer. So I like that question.
And even these days as well, you and I have talked about it, setting that expectation when you're traveling. I mean, there's a lack of airport crew. We see American Airlines is suffering.
They are
very badly with it. I mean, there's just a shortage of employees. And, this is my second time at Charles de Gaulle. And it was a little bit of a mess.
Yeah. I mean, look, right. So get to the airports early. And so great question. I think that's probably a wrap for the day.
That is. I have to get ready for dinner. They eat a little later here, but little girl is on that schedule.
I love it. I cannot wait to follow all of your posts on Instagram and TikTok, and I'm sure you'll be going live on HAP. So get back to your vacation. Stop talking travel with me. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to follow this girl for all things news about Paris, and her content's fantastic. So guys, thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. Have a great rest of your day. Until next time.
All right, bye guys.